What's the chatter, everyone? My name's Corman590, and we are back today with the long-awaited thing. If you guys remember this, I stopped it like 2 months ago. Holy crap, it took forever to bring it back. Yep, here it is. Corman's Picks. It is back, and it is better than ever because I have a very fun Pokemon to re-kick it off. It's actually a new milestone for the whole series altogether. Right here we have Mega Absol. I don't mind the Absol there. I'm going to get to that later. But yeah, today for our long hiatus on Corman's Picks, we're bringing it back with Mega Absol. Now, I was thinking of what Pokemon to do before. I got your guys' request. I got a lot of good requests, but just to kick it back off, I'm going to do a pick of my own, and then I'm going to look at all of your guys' picks. I'm going to make sets for them, and then I'm going to give my opinion on the Pokemon. Just remember, this isn't really a guide on how to use the Pokemon. It's really something to showcase what they can do, because really, I'm not the kind of guy who knows how to use every single Pokemon. I'm just showing you what they could possibly do and what they could do. Now, if you want someone who knows how to do guides, go watch you some Relisify. He has a whole guide on how to use every single Pokemon from Kanto to Kalos. So there's my my ad of the day. Anyway, without further ado, we're going to hop into this Pokemon known as Absol. Now, this first set we have here is the physical set. Now, looking at Absol's stats, 65 on HP, 150 on attack, 60 on defense, 150 on special attack, 60 on special defense, and 115 on speed. This Pokemon can't take a hit. Gonna go ahead and say that. Cannot take a hit worth crap. Probably makes sense because Absol looks like that one Pokemon that's like, ugh, get your hands off me. I don't like you touching me. Don't do that. You little freaking pervert. Get off me. So you can understand why Absol wouldn't want to be hit by anything, because it would either mean her fur would get messed up and she'd go sissy on you, or her wings would get all jacked up if you shot a beam at her. So yeah, she's going to be... She doesn't want to get touched by anything, that's for sure. Alright, so with this first set here, you notice Absol's monstrous 150 grand total attack, which leads into 438. Very few Pokemon get this high of attack. Do you know who has this base attack? Slacking, Swampert, Groudon. Many legendaries have this kind of attack. So I'm going to use this to my advantage and just say this. Absol gets Sucker Punch. The move that locks you into things. If you try to attack this Pokemon, it will always move first unless you're using something that out-priorities it. Like if you Sucker Punch the Absol and the Absol Sucker Punch, it turns into this weird priority war, and then the Absol has to be faster. It gets really, really weird, I'm not going to lie. So Sucker Punch basically makes it to where they can't throw out any status, and they can't do it anyway because I'm about to cover that in why in a few minutes. And then you also have Knockoff. 1.5 damage if foe holds an item, removes item. Okay, so basically you're getting an OHKO while removing their item. So basically Focus Sashers become useless in this situation too. Wow. Now we also have Play Rough as well. Play Rough makes it to where you can hit dragons pretty hard. You hit dark types pretty hard. So you hit even things that you Absol resist. Like you could resist own dark types and then throw out Play Rough as well. So that's really strong too. And then to top it all off, Swords Dance. You know what? Your attack's already 150. Why not make it higher? I argue that things that get this kind of attack should get Swords Dance just so they can bust things open. So Absol's gonna claw your face off. Yeah, that sounds really good. Now, one thing that people do not see on Absol about being useful, I see it as probably one of the most useful things a Sucker Puncher can have. Magic Bounce. Now, you may say, but this is only good on tanks because with Mega Sableye, you can set up with Mega Sableye, no one can taunt you. Guess what you can do with Absol? Did you notice that you have to attack, people have to attack you in order for Sucker Punch to work? Guess what? With Magic Bounce, they are basically forced to attack you. Because if you try to set up on Absol, someone's going to know what you're doing, in quotation marks, if they're good, and then they're going to Swords Dance in your face as well. You also have the risk of being outsped, since Absol also has that 115 base speed. This is why Mega Absol is so good. It's so underrated. I'm going to go ahead and say that right now. Mega Absol is probably hands down the most underrated Mega, right next to Mega Swampert. I'm going to have to say that right here. No one will see it coming if you set up with it once. And even though it looks really frail, Absol's defenses, compared to Chatot, Absol can take a hit. Like, Absol can't take a hit from a very, very strong, like, 120 base attacker, like Lander, Asterian, Earthquake. It can't take that. But it can take, like, a non-stab move from a 120 base attacker, and it can take it really well. Like, it goes down to yellow, and then you can Sucker Punch and then sweep from there, since Absol's already pretty fast. Now, granted, you want to probably keep Absol towards the late game, but even then, it's still incredibly strong. Like, your knockoff, it's stronger than your Sucker Punch. That is so, so free right there. Like, I don't know what's more free than that. I mean, maybe your Play Rough, which is also hitting Dragon types pretty well, and Dark types. But what's more free than a Sucker Punch and a knockoff? Nothing's more free than that. Oh, and God forbid you get that Swords Dance. Your opponent practically loses after that, since Sucker Punch, knockoff, Play Rough hit pretty much everything, minus, I want to say, rocks and water and grass. You have a lot of super effective damage and a lot of raw damage. I'm using Monster Hunter terms right now. You have a lot of raw damage and a lot of super effective damage, and it's going to go a really long way, and that's why Absol is good. Magic Bounce is basically going to make it to where Sucker Punch is hitting really hard. In some certain circumstances, you might not even need to set up Swords Dance. That's how strong it is. Like, you could keep Absol around late game and Sucker Punch spam and just win off of that. This is why this set is good. Now, this next set we have here, did you also notice that Absol has 115 base special attack? Okay, yeah, that means I'm going to be able to use my special attack just as good as my physical attack. Fun fact about Absol, the coverage she gets is amazing. Look at this: Dark Pulse, Thunderbolt, Fire Blast, Ice Beam. Do you know how many things in OU are weak to Fire Blast? A lot. Ferrothorn, Scizor. I can't think of all the other ones, but every steel type in there that's OU. Also, do you know what's weak to Ice Beam? Lander's Therian, Garchomp, Latios. There are so many things weak to Absol and OU. I'm surprised this thing isn't even an OU. There's actually one Pokemon, and as you can see right there, if you remember what Corman's picks originally does, there's Pokemon that quote-unquote outclass other Pokemon, if I could put it. That's why I like to say, because there's going to be people who try to say that this Pokemon's better, even though this one Pokemon that people will try to put over Absol literally makes me just, I don't even know anymore. But yeah, Dark Pulse, Thunderbolt, Fire Blast, Ice Beam, so much super effective coverage off that, and since you have 115 in the special attack, very few things are going to be able to switch into this. You could run Timid, but if you want that full damage burst, you want to run Modest. Like, you can't be worried about being outsped. Like, if you're worried about things that outspeed Absol, they're going to be the high priority users, and then other hard damaging special attack users that hurt Absol really bad. Because Fire Blast and Ice Beam, these two, I can already tell you some 4 times super effective hits, and it kills right here just based off of that. It's so good. Thunderbolt, there are other special moves, and if you're really afraid of Fire Blast missing, you could run Flamethrower as well, But I really don't care about that. I'm not really worried about that missing. You could also run Shadow Ball as well, but I feel like Dark Pulse is kind of better. I think that's about it for Absol's special moves. You could put Thunderbolt on it if you wanted some support for the team. Not Thunderbolt, sorry. You could put Thunderwave on there if you wanted some more support for your team, and that works just as well. Now, this next set we have here is basically both of the sets combined, and this is where things get fun. Knock off Sucker Punch, Ice Beam, and Fire Blast. No one can switch into you for many reasons. Someone wants to try and switch into a knockoff, they lose about 65 to 70% of their health considering how much attack power Absol has. And then you Sucker Punch because then they're forced to attack you due to Magic Bounce. They could set up if they wanted to. That would be a bad idea because you could easily read them and knock off again. Or they could be weak to Fire Blast or Ice Beam, and then you could use one of those options to safely kill them. Oh my god, Absol has everything, man. The only thing it needed was hacks. Oh wait, you're about to see that in the next set. But first I'm going to finish on this set. 252 in attack, and 252 in speed, and you want to go Naughty Nature. Now, typically you're only going to want to have these two moves here to deal with the 4 times weaknesses like I mentioned earlier, like Scizor, Escavalier, Ferrothorn, Landorus Therian, Garchomp, Dragonite, Salamence, all these high tier threats who are going to give you problems. You're going to want to have Ice Beam for them. You're going to want to have Fire Blast for Ferrothorn. You will not believe how many Ferrothorns have lived on this Absol Mega, and you will not believe how many times they Stealth Rock just to get their rocks knocked back. And it's so easy to predict too, because no one knows Absol's Mega because it's rarely ran. It's so underrated. Like, why is this thing so underrated? Who cares if it has 60 in the defenses and like 70 HP? This Pokemon is so good. I'm willing to argue it might be one of the top 10 Megas. And there's like 20 of them. Now, when Chatot gets a Mega, Chatot will be one of the top tier Megas, but that's for another time. Now, this last set we have here, which actually leads into the support. This is the most disgusting strategy I've ever seen. Critsol. So basically, do you guys know what Critdra is? Critdra is a Pokemon that literally crits every turn and can easily spam moves like Draco Meteor because it doesn't mind the setup anymore, and it can easily run over teams due to simple things. Absol gets Super Luck as well next to... this is base form Absol, it's not the Mega. This is really the only reason why I'd run the regular form, because I just feel like the regular form, it's not as good as the Mega is, because if you look at it, you can't even run it as a special attacker with that special attack. And then it's so slow, it's going to get one-shot by like pretty much everything if you don't run a Focus Sash. So, with things like, let's say we could use Chatot in this example. Chatot likes to chatter and confuse people and disrupt the flow of battle because it has like 92 or 91 base speed. So it would make sense running a Focus Sash then because Chatot has the potential to get a kill off of the hacks, but Absol can barely even kill something off that 130 base attack. It'd have to be a really, really, really strong hit, and your opponent would have to be very frail. Now, Critsol changes that, and it fixes the problem, as you're about to see. So over here, we have Drifblim. Oh no, the only Pokemon that gets Stockpile, Minimize, Focus Energy, and Baton Pass. Absol's about to get a lot more insane, and here is why. Focus Energy raises the user's critical hit ratio by 2. Razor Claw, holder's critical hit ratio is raised by 1. Super Luck, the Pokemon's critical hit ratio is raised by 1 as well. Now, every move Absol has crits on every single turn. Oh my god. What is this set? This is the most gimmicky thing I've ever seen. But if you're critting on every turn with that attack, 130 base attack, nothing's switching into you. You OHKO everything. You literally OHKO everything. You also have the minimize bonus too. So now nothing's hitting you. Oh my god, this is evil. I mean, truth be told, Drift Blim can minimize set up into anything and then it could be broken. But this is just something else. This is like, they won't even be able to stop you. Now, I know what you're thinking. But it's banned in Smogon. I can't play by this. Oh no! Smogon can't control you, my friend. You could easily not play by the rules. Or you could just do this. You don't even need Drift Blim. You could have... what was his face? What was the tier you could use it in? I think it's Combuskin. You can have Combuskin. And Combuskin gets speed boost. Combuskin also gets focus energy. You pass that speed and that focus energy into Absol. And I think Absol, let's check the tier. Depending on what tier Absol is, Absol's RU. So if you could use that in RU, guess what? Free sweeps. Free sweeps, because no one is going to be able to stop you. You literally have every answer to everything. Superpower, play rough, Zen headbutt, sucker punch. You hit everything. Nothing is immune to this. Also, I forgot to mention, but if you spam, you can just spam superpower in this state too. Because your attack and defense are going to get lowered. And granted, your defense, it's already piss poor with that 60, so it's not really going to matter anymore. And since you're critting every single turn, your attack isn't going to really matter since critical hits ignore stat buffs and stat drops. Oh man, yeah, things just got a whole new level of crazy. Absol, you are one. Absol's sassy, man. She will not care. She will literally just try everything it takes to like run over you. Now, this Pokemon, you'd think it'd be in a higher tier, right? Right? You'd think nothing would be able to outclass the fact that you basically get free sucker punches without having to worry about people setting up on you, right? Right? Sadly, there are people who do not realize this. Bisharp. Bisharp's better than Absol, guys. According to Smogon standards, Bisharp's better than Absol. Let's look at some of the reasons why Bisharp is better than Absol. Sucker Punch, knockoff, Iron Head, and Low Kick. Seems like a familiar moveset, right? Right? Life Orb, Defiant. Now let's look at his stats. 65 on HP, 125 on attack, 100 on defense, 60 on special attack, 70 on special defense, and 70 on speed. So this Pokemon's better than Absol, right? Okay. That Pokemon's better than base form Absol. This Pokemon is nowhere near outclassing Mega Absol. When Absol has... How many points? How many points do you have? 125? Absol has 150. That's like a... that's a shocking 35 points higher than Bisharp's. And Absol can freely sucker punch people. Absol doesn't have to worry about people setting up or trying to set up, like, I don't know, a will-o-wisp in their face. Absol doesn't have to worry about any of that because Absol gets magic bounce. Also, Absol doesn't have to worry about getting burned as well. Bisharp has to worry about getting burned. How is this Pokemon in any way, shape, or form better than Absol? Inner Focus. Oh, well, hey, I guess you can counter Togekiss and Absol can't. Dude, Magic Bounce. That Thunder Wave is going to get bounced back. Oh, well, they could still Air Slash you to oblivion. So you're going to bank on a 60% chance and spam Air Slash on Absol, a Pokemon who isn't even going to stay in on Togekiss anyway, due to having high specially defensive offenses. May I mention that Pawniard is a Steel type too. Pawniard, of course he handles Togekiss. He's a freaking Steel type. Steel types handle fairies. It's that simple, people. Type matchups. Oh. Seriously, let's also look at his moveset, because I might be missing something here. Right? Nope. Poison Jab. This Pokemon literally just hard counters fairy types. So, I'm not seeing it. X-Scissor, Absol gets Mega Horn. Swords Dance, Absol gets Swords Dance. Oh, wait, guys, I figured it out. Stealth Rock. No, that was just a joke. Anyway, yeah, I don't see how this Pokemon outclasses Absol. It literally does the same thing as Absol, except Absol does it better. Literally, Absol does it better. Like, you could argue Steel types have less weaknesses, like something like that. Bisharp is Steel Dark. Bisharp has a lot of weaknesses. Like, he doesn't neutrally resist Fairy. He doesn't do a lot of things Absol can do. Like, Absol's 3 weaknesses, I think Bisharp has like 4. So, I'm not hating on Bisharp or anything. I'm just hating on the fact that people are ignoring this Mega Absol and saying Bisharp's better. Bisharp is not better. He's just not. Like, his best ability is Defiant. I mean, come on. If your best ability is Defiant, that's pretty bad. And people are also going to claim that Bisharp has better bulk. This is like the whole X-Cloud chat argument all over again. You are paper with that HP. I don't care if your defense is 100. And I'd like to argue that the defenses and the HP it's basically the same thing. Your HP and your defenses basically have to be on the same level if you want to be on a same stasis. Now, if we're looking at things like Drifblim doesn't really have good defenses, but his HP is massive, and he can also set up stockpiles, so his defenses are getting better. Pawniard's defenses are not getting any better, and his HP is lackluster, and he can't do anything to make his HP increase. So, yeah. Bisharp's better than Mega Absol, guys. Let that sit. For some reason, this Pokemon is in a higher tier than Mega Absol is, even though it's a guaranteed OHKO in most stances when Absol is compared to that. Just let that sit. Anyway, guys, that's about it for this Corman's Picks. I really hope you liked it. Yeah, I actually tried having a list this time, so the reason I didn't stutter as much, I pretty much knew what I was going to say coming into this video, so yeah. And plus, I had like 2 months to think of ideas, and I had ideas from you guys. I'm going to make videos on them in the future. I'm kind of glad Corman's Picks is back. I'm really glad it's back, because it was one of the series you guys really enjoyed. So now that that's all over, I really hope you guys enjoyed this pick. I have 2 more. I have 2 subscriber requested Pokemon that I actually cannot wait to review. You guys know what Pokemon are underrated. I gotta give you that. Like, I don't really want to spoil them, but I will tell you this: one of them is a really, really popular icon of a YouTuber who I'm not going to say his name. If he watches me, I'm going to be stoked. Anyway, guys, that's all. Hopefully you all enjoyed the video. Leave a like and subscribe.